Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about drawing inferences from a text. So we're going to be reading these quick passages and then we're going to infer stuff based on what we read. So basically to infer something means to predict it. So the goal here is to read the text and then predict stuff afterwards. So let's go ahead and read this passage. The street was lined with elegant stone buildings, some over 100 years old. Only number 462 didn't fit in. It towered above the others, its mirror-like surface reflecting the sky. Now let's read the question. Based on the text, which sentence is more likely to be true? Number one, number 462 is a modern building. And number two, number 462 is a famous restaurant. Okay, so to begin with, what are we talking about in the text? We're talking about buildings, and we're talking about streets that are lined with buildings. So unless there is some sort of hint that we're talking about a restaurant or that we're in the middle of a city where there's a lot of restaurants nearby, it doesn't really make sense that number 462 is a restaurant, especially if we're on a street which most likely contains buildings only. Also, what we can see is it's talking about how the building is towering above the others and how number 462 has mirror-like surface. So usually when we think of tall, mirror-like buildings, we think of modern buildings that were recently created. So because of those two ideas that we found in this text, we can predict that number 462 is a modern building. Okay, great. Let's do one more. Polly and Marco's pumpkin was the last to be weighed at the giant pumpkin contest. They hauled it onto the scale and watched as the number appeared. Marco gasps, and Polly screamed, "We did it!" Okay, and the question based on the text, which sentence is more likely to be true? So again, we're going to be taking some clues from these sentences and trying to figure out what happened at the giant pumpkin contest. So option one, Marco and Polly grow all kinds of vegetables. We're not sure about that because in the text they only talk about a pumpkin, and this is the giant pumpkin contest, not the giant vegetable contest. So that sentence might not be true. Or number two, Marco and Polly's pumpkin won the contest. Well, we do know that they're talking about a pumpkin, and we do know this is a contest for pumpkins. And the very last thing that happens is they screamed, "We did it!" So usually if you scream, "We did it," it's because you're happy, because you achieved something, because you completed your goal. So because of those two things, we can assume that Marco and Polly won the pumpkin contest. And there we go. So when you're trying to draw inferences from a text or you're trying to predict stuff based on a text, you really want to be reading carefully so that you don't miss any details, because those details are going to help you put context clues together in order to figure out what is most likely to be true as a result of those details.